NFL free agency is coming in just 2 weeks, so I wanted to preview some of the highest profile position groups, talk about the top 10 free agents in that category, and make some predictions of where they land. Up first are the wide receivers. Like and subscribe, and let's get into it. I'll be using the top 10 free agents list from NBC Sports, so coming in at number 10 we have Noah Brown. Brown had a solid season for the Cowboys as their on-again, off-again number 2 wide receiver, finishing the season with 43 catches for 555 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's a fairly young, former Ohio State wide receiver with good size at 6'2 and 225 pounds. In an ideal situation, he's probably a team's second outside wide receiver with his ability to make contested catches and be a downfield threat. The Cowboys will certainly look at re-signing him, but they might have their eyes on higher profile targets. If other pieces move around, I could see Noah Brown signing with the Raiders or the Packers. At number 9, we have Jarvis Landry. He had a tough 2022 season due to injury, and he's on the wrong side of 30, but he could provide security for a quarterback if he's not asked to do too much on his next team. Landry will probably be one of the last free agent receivers to sign somewhere, as he'd most likely prefer to go to a contender where he can play a decent role. I expect him to wait until after the draft to see where the chips fall, and wouldn't be surprised if you see him back in Cleveland or heading to the Minnesota Vikings. He'd be great in the slot for Kirk Cousins. Marvin Jones is the 8th best receiver on this list, and he had a very good year for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. He had 46 catches for 529 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's enjoyed decent success over the last 2 seasons, and at 33 years old, I don't know that he'll have a ton of suitors, even though, as I've mentioned, he's performing well. In all likelihood, he will re-sign with the Jaguars and see if he can help them continue their rapid climb. If he were to leave, because that's always more fun to predict, I could see him ending up in New York with the Giants, as they need a lot of help and a veteran with Jones' skill set will be welcomed. Coming in at number 7, we have Nicole Hardman. He was injured throughout the 2022 season, only playing in 8 games, but I don't think it's a pattern for him in his young career. If he played all 17 games, he would have had in the neighborhood of 50 catches for 600 yards and a whopping 8 touchdowns. He's a game changer when he gets the ball in space. The Chiefs will certainly want to keep him, and he'll probably want to stay. But let's pretend the money doesn't work out and he's forced to sign elsewhere. Look for the Colts to take a shot at him to replace the next wide receiver on this list. Campbell. He's another young wide receiver at only 26 years old who had a good year in 2022. 63 catches for 623 yards and 3 touchdowns on one of the worst offenses in recent memory. He no doubt will be looking to move to greener pastures. He's a deep threat with high-end speed. All teams need at least one of those, so expect numerous teams to call. The team I like as a pairing for Campbell, though, would be the Tennessee Titans. Robert Woods was recently released, and Treylon Burks can't do it all. Campbell would be a good complementary piece on the opposite side and provide a weapon for either Tannehill or Malik Willis. Up next, we have DJ Chark. He only played in 11 games this season, but racked up over 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. Chark was one of the first free agents to sign last year, and when he picked Detroit, some people were wondering if it would be a step up from the 2021 Jacksonville Jaguars at all. They turned out to be a top 5 offense, and he was a big part of that when healthy. Just like some of the other guys on this list, I could see him returning, although the money might not be there with the rise of St. Brown and Jameson Williams. They know they have other guys they'll have to pay at the position down the line. If he doesn't do a 1-year deal again in Detroit, watch for Chark to return to Jacksonville or end up in Dallas. Darius Slayton was the only receiver in the Giants' offense last year that teams had to worry about. A strong contested catch receiver with good yards after the catch, and at only 26 years old, the Giants will make an attempt to re-sign him. They need to add several pieces to their offense after making sure they can keep Daniel Jones, of course. It's looking more and more like Saquon might be on the move, so wide receivers will be important. I truly expect Slayton to stay, but if he doesn't, I could see him going to a team like the Packers or the Saints. At number 3 on this list, we have Lazard. He was the top receiver for Green Bay this season and the least inconsistent receiver of the group. Aaron Rodgers made no secret about his frustration with this position group early in the season, but Lazard did all he could to help the offense. He accumulated nearly 800 yards and 6 touchdowns on 100 targets. I think his decision will probably be related to Aaron Rodgers' decision. Should he decide to find a different team, Lazard will definitely have suitors. At 6'5 and 227 pounds, he's a giant red zone target. Look for the Rams and 49ers to call, as neither of them have a receiver with that skill set. Juju SmithSchuster is here at number 2, and he had a good year on his new team, ending up with a Super Bowl ring after all was said and done. He was the number 1 receiver on the offense, outside of tight end Travis Kelce, of course, but ended up below 1,000 yards and with only 3 touchdowns. The Chiefs' offense definitely was potent, but it looked a lot different than the Tyreek Hill days. There's no doubt in my mind that Juju re-signs with the Chiefs to enjoy continued success, so I'm not sure I would want to predict other teams. But I will anyway. The Cowboys would be my top choice to call about Juju because I expect them to call about all the receivers on this list. And at number 1, Jacoby Myers. I'm particularly excited to see him at the top of this list as I'm a huge NC State fan. He's been nothing but consistent in New England as they've struggled to figure out the quarterback position in this post-Tom Brady era. He was an undrafted free agent, but has risen to be wide receiver 1, amassing over 800 yards and 6 touchdowns last season on a mediocre at best offense. I think he will likely want to head to a team where he can have more personal and team success, as well as one that will pay him. The Patriots have never had a strong reputation for paying their top receivers. So if I were Jacoby, I'd take a long hard look at the Houston Texans or the Chicago Bears, both teams that could have big turnarounds this season and have a massive need for a good receiver. So that's the top 10 free agent wide receivers for 2023. Not the star-studded big-name group of recent years, but guys that will certainly make an impact on whatever team they play for next season. Let me know your predictions for these guys down in the comments. I appreciate you watching, and if you made it this far, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I'll see y'all next time.